So by now, also a story that has gone viral is the unfortunate incident that occurred in Budiriro. We spoke to the Harare mayor earlier on, where we looked into detail regarding this. And just to quote the Herald, a tragedy occurred in Budiriro and claimed the lives of 3 people after rescue teams responded to reports of a man who had fallen into a mud hole at a City of Harare sewer works site. The bodies of a young woman, an adult male, and the reported victim were recovered during the operation. And so I am happy today in the studio, Webster Jaricha, founder of the Convergence Community Emergency Response Team. Webster, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, listeners.
Thanks so much for joining us, Webster. And you know, it's first of all, just to salute you for the work that you are doing as the Convergence Community Emergency Response Team. I think that let's just get into this in detail. When a tragedy like the Budiriro incident happens, what is the first responsibility of emergency services when they arrive at the scene?
Right, Nikki, the first responsibility of an emergency response team is to first of all assess the safety of the scene. Because in trying to do a scene size up to say what is the nature of the emergency, you then be able to determine the kind of resources which are required, because you know each individual response team has got its specific task, and when you consolidate all the response management systems in one place, you can facilitate a much better and positive outcome. So scene safety comes first.
Indeed. Now, we saw community members raising the alarm and assisting during the search. How important is community response before professionals arrive? And also, I think we need to understand what basic emergency steps should residents take when someone falls into a dangerous pit. It could be a sewer pond or unsafe excavation.
So the community's responsibility initially is to be able to raise an alarm, you know. So raising an alarm would allow for emergency management services to respond to the emergency, and also for the community to stay calm and advise each other in the you know on the positive steps to take, which is primarily to keep everyone safe, make everyone aware of the hazard which is there, and then ensuring that they allow for time for the emergency management services to respond and take charge of the situation and render their services in terms of the rescue.
The do's and don'ts. It's important.
Yes.
Zvakasiyana mareactions akasiyana panenge pane dambudziko rakadai chii chinofana kuitwa.
Chekutanga, stay calm. I think, Nikki, for anyone who's attended our courses, I always teach the students to say, okay, all right. Meaning, when you say okay, you're reminding yourself to stay calm and say the situation is going to be solved. And by staying calm, you're trying to avoid people panicking. Because with panicking, people end up making the wrong decisions. Others will say, let me jump in and try to help. You hear stories of someone drowning and then another. We end up losing 3-4 lives. So by remaining calm and knowing that you need to activate emergency management services, in a nutshell, you'll be able to safeguard the safety of everyone. Nikki, we always teach, and what I would advise the communities is to always remember the words SCCC, which means S. Once you've seen that there's an emergency or there's a potential hazard, the next thing, you just go and check from a safe distance to say, what is the nature of the emergency? What's going on? Once you've done that and you've got all that information, the next step is to call for help. And calling for help, I advise each and every Zimbabwean to take it upon themselves as a responsibility to have numbers of emergency management services, be it the police, be it the fire department, be it the ambulance services, and from any one of those stakeholders will be able then to, get in touch with other stakeholders for a multi-stakeholder engagement.
The one number that we must know, I've always said this, in America, we call 911.
Yes.
In Zimbabwe, we call...
So in a nutshell now, I think the most spoken about number is the 591 for the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe. I think that's, for us as Concert, a number that we're pushing forward because they've really risen to the challenge and have sort of like incorporated multiple stakeholders. A number of times when an emergency arises, they'll either call us, Concert, they'll call the ambulance services, and that will sort of like, it has proven that it's speeding up the reaction times.
Now, pane zvakaitika kubudiriro.
Yes, Niki.
Zvaitika kubudiriro izvi what was the response like? Coach Rambo Varipano, so I want to also then get to talk to him. Coach Rambo Magasimbere.
I want to know further more decision.
Coach Rambo, varumgear baba, varumgear. What Panisha katika kubudiro Webster? In brief, in your immediate response.
Right. So in brief, Nikki Zagaitika, I was actually on my way to I'm a Budiro boy myself. And I saw the fire department, the fire engine, and the ambulance heading in that direction. So out of curiosity, I just followed them. And when we got to Budiro 3, then I asked, guys, are you okay? What's happening? And they said, we've got a drowning situation. Apparently, so we then drove with them to the scene. And upon arrival, we noticed that it was actually a mud hole, and again, Nikki, coming back to what I said earlier on, being an experienced, first responder, when we did our scene size up to say, okay, what sort of resources do we need? What are we dealing with? Immediately, I knew that this was a very important situation which needed RAMBO, because I've worked with RAMBO before. Previously, we had a situation where we had a mother who was marooned in Mount Darwin.
I remember that.
Yes. And when I was called by one of the councillors to say, Mr. Jarisha, we know you're helping people out. What can you do for us? Again, I knew that this was something to do with an aquatic environment, and the best person I know is a swimming coach, he's a lifeguard, he's a friend, he's also my student. Rambo is with multiple certificates in first aid that I've trained and renewed for him. I knew he was the right man for that. So instantly, I obviously working with the protocol of the city of Harare, I requested permission to engage a private player, and they said, Webster, whatever resources you can pull for us as concept, please do so. And I called Rambo, and initially Rambo said, I'm not coming. Then I said, I was standing with a few colleagues, and I said, you know what, I'd ask you, but give him time. And he's going to call back. And within a few minutes,
he called back.
And he says, I'm on my way. So you can't keep a soldier down, you know. And when he called that he was coming, I was like, guys, Rambo is coming.
No,
he came in a car. Obviously, and once he was on the ground, I kept all sort of like stakeholders involved. Background. And when he then came, he also did a synthesizer up at Webster. This is mud. This is not water. And I said, Rambo, whatever that works for you. If you say we're not going in, I'm happy with that. If you say we're going in, I will still be there, and we'll support you. So we had to consider the safety, we had to consider the equipment, and we prayed at the scene. You know what? We are only instruments. Depends that's in ink, the more sick. So whatever story you want us to write is what we'll write. We'll accept, you know what? We fought a good fight and kept our faith.
Coach, muchipinda mu madaga. Imi mamati ya isimvura. Chicha wamfungwa zenyu.
Chipinda madaga mamuya. What I just thought, I have to remove these bodies out. I just sacrificed. Before tapinda, takambotanga ku research out, will I be able to do this job? My apparatus and watch a so ndakasecha madive inside edu ese ndakabvunzwa meta akatiudza kuti it's impossible dive akwanisa kufema pasi pemadive.
Watotaka mabvunza AI kuti zvinobuda here.
You know, sometimes maybe pane any method inokwanisa kuitika kuti maybe you can do a plan B, but panga pasina. So ndakazongosuggesta kuti since pasina kudaro andifanira kuenda ndisina futi equipment, because equipment inogona zvoita sei zondibatsira. So ndanichiti maybe if I run out of air ndaidambura mouthpiece ichi yeoxygen tank, because akadambura kana ukavhura mweya unongobuda direct, but unongochibuda zviri too powerful, so that I will survive. The reason why I risked was nyaya yekuti ndakanzwa kuti pari 6 meters deep. It was not that deep, and for 6 meters netime inini andinohodha under the water, ndangogeja kuti if I can do minimum of 2 minutes to 3 minutes, that will be maximum. And then ndichibuda ndataura nevakomana vefire brigade kuti makanzwa ndadhonza tambo ka3 mubva maita sei, mubva mandiburitsa. Makanzwa tambo ichingodhonzwa zviri random, mubva maziva kuti something is wrong. Makaona ndisina kudhonza tambo, hapana anything wrong. So ndo matangira takaita yayo chirunga basa redu.
Ndoda nikokutendai nebasa ramunoita. I think that in this season panenge paine vanhu vakawanda saka pane nyaya yataurwa yamai vekumount down vanhu vakaona nenge vasingazivi kuti ritori basa ramakagara muchiita.
Yes.
Uye panoitika zvinhu zvinenge zvichinzi apa pakaoma munodedzwa kunzi muuye. So you are a former police officer?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. I thought that you were a former police officer.
I'm not.
So for how long have you been doing this?
Life saving. Sekuseva one, not scuba diving. Scuba diving ndakazotanga 2011. But rescuing life saving ndakatanga 2008. Vanhu vanyura mu swimming pool, but let's say nendi lifeguard pa swimming pool. And then vanhu vachiswima munhu akanyura kudepend, then I would dive nichiburisa. So kuti ndizotanga kuita lifeguard ndaienda pa swimming pool ndichingoendawo kunobatsira veHarare City Council vaindishedza vachiti vatibatsira kusvika matoilet nocleana pool nekungoitawo basa repapo. So semunhu aiswera paswimming pool ndakawana mukana, ndakashandisa mukana wekuti ndikwanisa kuita sei kudzidziswa maproper swimming strokes and then also life saving. Ndakadzidziswa na Mr. Mkambaidze Chris, ndakadzidziswa na Mr. Mapanda, ndakadzidziswa na Uncle Rija, Jackson Rija, ndo vanhu vaindibatsira. So
ndingada kuziva zvangu kuti shoko rasvika here.
Shoko
pane shoko riri kufamba riri kunzi muri kufanira kunotora 20,000 akwa murasvika here.
inini
Andabvunza hangu shoko rasvika here.
ndinambodisipa any message so far.
So just to give you context, from kubva patatanga interview, coach vanga vari pa motorbike because he actually was on his bike to come to the studio, so he doesn't know. Ndakaenda kubvunzei zvakare, shoko rasvika here kuti mhanzi muyozotora 20,000 neakwa.
Ndikutorinzwa kwamuri. Because I was writing. Ndandiri pamutututu.
Pane message yayo ndofunga shoko riri kusvika manje manje. Asi shoko pane shoko ratopostwa izvinezvi on social media. Asi toda kukutendai. Toda kukutendai nekuti vashoma vanoita zvamunoita Webster.
Yes.
It's not easy. Pakanzi paita problem, pakanzi pane vanhu vari kuda kubatsirwa. It's not easy. Toda kukutendai. Thank you, coach, for your determination, sacrifice. Chinhu chisingasawanikwe kakawanda muno munyika. Toda kukutendai.
Okay.
Toda kukutendai. Also just appreciate everyone in the emergency services sector.
Thank you, Nikki.
Can I tell you why?
Yes.
Because level of sacrifice, whether there's been an accident and there's immediate help that is needed, a lot of the times we trivialize. That's why sometimes the ambulance siren is not respected by some motorists.
That's true.
But there are people who answer to the call and make a difference. And you are our champions, and we appreciate you.
Yes, Nikki.
Yes.
Nikki, I just wanted to say before, I know we're running out of time, just to acknowledge the fire department.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mafoti, Mr. Mchena, their crew, as well as the firemen who were there holding that rope, pulling RAMBO and the therapy. Thank you very much for that.
And thank you to our everyday champions who are not celebrated. Coach RAMBO, we salute you. Thank you for tuning in to Star FM, sounding good all the time. It's 9 o'clock time for the news.
This is